Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners County Administrator Updates on April 5, 2022. Gary, please tee up the first item.
Thank you, Chair Smith. All commissioners are present. We are doing this different room setup because of some microphone issues, so we'll be doing this with you at the dais for at least a short term. So thank you for that, commissioners. First, we have an item that is a potential fireworks ban in Clackamas County. We have two guests that I'll bring forward, although Chair Smith will kick this off. So we have Chief Jim Davis, the you come forward, gentlemen, Chief of the Cambie Fire Department and the Chair of the Clackamas County Fire Defense Board, and Chief Nick Brown of the Clackamas Fire District Number 1. But Chair Smith, if you'd like to kick this off, please.
Sure. Thank you, Gary. The reason why we're here today is because, remember, last year we banned fireworks kind of like the 11:30 hour because of the conditions. And we had, if you remember, hundreds of emails from constituents begging us to do that. And I talked with Nick Brown at it. He says, you know, if you're going to do it again, can we tee it up ahead of time to give people notice? I don't know if we're going to ban fireworks or not. This is a discussion that this board needs to have today. I have some information on what other jurisdictions are doing in the area. I reached out, well, first of all, I sent an email to all of the mayors of cities in Clackamas County on what they're doing, and I've heard back from 3 of them. City of Molalla is not going to ban fireworks. They have a rodeo association that's hundreds of years old, and they have a very professional fireworks display. They're going to continue. They're not going to ban fireworks. Joe Buck in Lake Oswego is not banning, but instead running a public education campaign, encouraging folks to be safe and other ways of celebrating. They're going to do a light show. And our policy, and they're going to do what they did last year. Our policy also allowed the fire chief to institute a ban in the case of extreme fire danger. They have not discussed it. I heard from Tom Ellis at Happy Valley. They've scheduled a conversation on May 3rd. Their council has not made a decision. The concept to date would include a ban tied to an extreme fire risk designation by CCFD number 1. However, his council has not decided where it will go either. So, with that in mind, Nick, would you like to talk to us about a potential fireworks ban or not?
I would love to. Jim, do you want to start, or do you want?
Sure, I'd love to.
Would you? How do you want it? I can go first if you'd like.
Nick, you will go first.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So thank you so much. Last year, when we talked last year, I really appreciated the fact of the commissioners and the open dialogue that we had. And Chair Smith is correct. In anything that we do moving forward, being able to pre-plan is crucial. As Chief Davis will describe the Fire Defense Board stance here shortly, which mirrors Clackamas Fire's stance in that our guidance to the city of Happy Valley is exactly what the mayor described to you. Tying it to metrics is really going to be crucial for us moving forward to help the citizen group, all sides, understand. When you tie it to fuel moisture, fuel content, temperature, weather, things of that nature, it gives you, as trying to make the right decision for the public, cover, and it gives the fire district cover for the citizens. And so what my recommendation, and then Chief Davis will dive in as well, is if you tie it to a extreme with ODF or with the Clackamas Fire District or the Clackamas County Fire Defense Board, we all tie it to the ODF burn levels. So in high, they recommend no outside burning, anything of that nature. Extreme is an all-out that's a burn ban. There's no burning, no fireworks, nothing of that nature. And as my professional opinion, as the chief of Clackamas Fire District Number 1, the only way that I can see to advise you as a council and you, Chair Smith, would be tying it to those metrics, is making the best decision for the communities, as well as giving you the cover being able to tie it back to specific metrics versus a feeling or trying to forecast the future, which is just so unknown.
That's right.
So thank you so much for letting me speak, Chair Smith.
Thank you. You are up next, sir. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm Jim Davis, the chair of the Clackamas County Fire Defense Board, also the fire chief of Cambie Fire District. And we just truly wanted to thank Gary Schmidt and the county commissioners for allowing us to participate in the process. That means a lot. So thank you very much. And as follow-up, how the Clackamas County Fire Defense Board works is we have fire chief representatives as well as some offices from the county that participate at the Clackamas County Fire Defense Board, and we meet monthly. We elect the chair of our Clackamas County Fire Defense Board, and so we have to keep our communications open with all of our membership. So as follow-up, when I received the email, I needed to get a feeling from our membership as far as so that we could answer the question for you today in regards to fireworks. So we did seek some input from some of the fire chiefs. The Fire Defense Board strongly urges you to continue the past practice, as Chief Brown has alluded to already, in regards to following the ODF matrix. It can be difficult with all the communities that we have in Clackamas County and fire districts in Clackamas County, even on burn bans. Okay, so we try to tie it together so it's not confusing to the public in regards to burn bans. So again, we tie it to the ODF matrix for fire conditions, high, extreme. And we do the same thing when we talk about fireworks as well. The fire service has an extensive social media availability. We all tie in with our cities, as well as our Chamber of Commerce's, our ability to communicate with the public in regards to these conditions. Lately, we've found that they're very attentive to that, and especially following the wildland fires that took place in Clackamas County. And the extreme heat that we had again last year, people were constantly wanting more information. Where are we at with open burning? Those type of things. Again, we tied it to the ODF matrix in making recommendations. But it's important to do things the same to all the fire districts in Clackamas County so that people understand what the rules are and it's not confusing to them as well. When communities like Cambie hold fireworks displays and more fireworks professional displays, and licensed displays, when those occur, it tends to cut down quite a bit on people wanting to go and buy safe and sane fireworks because they can attend a professional display and they're much safer. And since Cambie has been an example, Cambie's been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years. And each year we've seen no more than 5 related calls to injuries or fires, which is excellent. So now that we're out of COVID a little bit for right now anyway, we're looking forward to doing more of these fireworks displays, and I know Cambie's going to be doing that this year as well. So again, we do urge you to stick with the current practice, and Chief Brown and myself and the Fire Defense Board we appreciate what you've done for us in the past in regards to when we get into that matrix of high or extreme, that we come to you and say it's bad, and just like you've done in the past, put ban on fireworks at that point. But that's pretty much the position of the Fire Defense Board at this point.
Okay. And you're talking about the forestry, so the forestry department would be dictating, in essence, whether we do a fireworks ban or not, because you said to tie the metrics.
Right.
Yes, this is what I'm hearing. That's why
Okay.
I'm asking the question, Jim.
Yep.
Okay, so we wait until it gets really bad. We either get to high or extreme, and I know what those are, because I live in that area.
Yep.
And I think Commissioner Scholl does as well. So we wait, are you saying, to that point, and ODFW will either have a high or extreme, and it's just not a fire ban, it's a forest activity ban. It's a forest activity on high or extreme, correct?
Yeah.
It goes to logging.
Yeah, it goes.
When you're on high alert, there's certain logging activities you can do.
Yes.
You have to stop, for instance, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and sit and fire watch for 2 hours,
Yes,
right?
yes.
If we go to extreme, I think that means all activities, as far as commercial logging is concerned, stop.
Yeah.
It also means no campfires
Yes.
in designated campfires, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
On high, do we still have campfires in our campsites? I don't know.
The difference would be between the Oregon Division of Forestry's requirements and the federal requirements. When they get into high, they tend to restrict any campfires in state properties. Federal is very similar, but their moisture densities are different up in the higher forest than they are in the ODF properties too.
Commissioner Savas, you have a question?
Yeah, well, I appreciate, hearing from you about maintaining the current practice, but I'm not sure, actually, I'm pretty sure that our constituents out there in the Clackamas County don't understand really what that is. And they have approached us, obviously, last year. So I think it may be incumbent upon all of us as jurisdictions to come up with a public messaging or some kind of a streamlining. I think we need, frankly, a better system, a better understanding of what that system is
That
versus
means-
being reactionary, because if one city wants to do this and another area wants to do that, people don't know where borders and boundaries are.
Right,
And there's a
exactly
lot of
right.
apprehension out there.
Yeah.
There's areas where there's a lot of fuel, and then
Yes.
obviously that's in the rural areas, but that's also in the urban areas. We have areas that are high fuel and topography that's on the edge of Oregon City and Cambie. That's, as you know, it's gonna be very tough to fight a fire, right? So I would suggest we need more work on this, and that's, I would be happy to, if my colleagues are willing to help that conversation, but it seems more incumbent upon the fire districts to, and the cities that have their own fire agencies to step up and maybe do some better streamlining or talk about a system so that the people out there understand it. Because when it's on TV,
Yep.
those radio waves or TV waves, they cross boundaries, and it's just not clear.
For sure.
For sure. And we can do that through the Fire Defense Board and our public education side of it, because our public education group works together well too, so we can
So
take
I
this
do
back.
agree with Commissioner Savas on this, on messaging. If we make a decision today, I'm not clear what the decision is. The only thing I can hear from the colleagues is, no, we're not banning fireworks today. We are waiting for the conditions to arise to a level that would cause a fireworks ban. And then, see, the devil's in the details. At what point then do we say, oh, no fireworks? Do you guys do that? Or do you come back to the commissioners and then we're making a 11th hour decision, which I'm trying to avoid today. I'm not getting really the information that this board needs. Can you understand what I'm saying?
Can I speak to that,
Yes.
Chair Smith? Because I came to you at the 11th hour last year to discuss
Yes, you
this,
did.
and was so grateful that the county commission landed on where they did. I'll be 100% honest, I didn't have it in the plans to come to you until we had the 116-degree weather that we had consecutive days, and how quickly that dried out our environment. And so much, and that's where as much heat, and I'm going to use that word heat, political heat, that you get or that the fire districts get, and really truthfully just trying to make the right decision that's best for all of our constituents, all of the public, those that want to celebrate and do fireworks legally and do it right, versus those that don't want it at all. And so as you look at a system, and Commissioner Fisher and I were kind of talking about this loosely, it's trying to make the best decision for everybody, and that's really, really hard, right? And so that's where you tie it into the matrix. And I will tell you from my professional experience, when I start getting nervous is when I start seeing high levels. Mm-hmm. And I don't pay attention to necessarily the logging and those things. I look at the high and the extreme, because what that's telling me is fire behavior, the potential for fire behavior. When it's in moderate, we can get ahead of that.
Thank you for that, Nick, and we're going to have Daniel Nybauer come up and talk about those conditions in a minute, but we have
Perfect.
Commissioner Schrader, you're in the queue.
Yeah, I was just going suggestion, Chair, because it sounds like what we have to do is have an overarching policy that when those metrics into play, it's kind of, this is when we do
Automatic.
it.
I
So
would
we
like
don't have,
that.
we don't make a immediate decision today, but if we let the public know that this is what we're watching and we're working with our fire chiefs, we can kind of set that trigger ready to.
I would like to do something like that.
Love that.
I also, before we continue on getting too far down, I want to bring in Daniel Neibauer. He is our interim emergency management
Why
director.
don't you stay there, please, gentlemen, and Daniel, you come to the side
And
table.
Paul, you're in the queue. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
Danny, go to the side table.
let's talk about this a little bit. One thing I forgot to mention, and that is that lead time on this. And I know that it shouldn't be a last-minute call. I mean, in the sense that I think that people have plans and people actually use this as fundraising, people fireworks stands.
yeah.
Yep.
You have Boy Scouts, you have a number of nonprofits that are trying to do their best. I mean, to leave them hanging and to just interrupt that is problematic for them. It's their livelihood, so to speak, for a year's worth of whatever it may be that they're whether it's uniforms or it's activities for Boy Scouts or whatnot. So I want to reiterate, I think there needs to be a better plan, and maybe you guys can help craft that to where we're not doing this at the last minute, the last hour, that we have something that people can predict and something that's consistent and something that, again, has some predictability.
Yeah, and it reminds me when you said that, Commissioner Savas, I got a call last week from a supplier of fireworks, wholesaler, and he says, if you're going to make a decision, make it now, because he's ramping up on leasing sites and buying product. So we can't let this go. We really need to establish something. Daniel, I'd like to talk, you gave us some information, and we have this great map on potential drought conditions. Can you talk about what you see in this?
Sure. So this is just obviously approaching the beginning of summer, and unfortunately, this map isn't that favorable right now. We're seeing large portions of the state as a whole in high drought conditions. The bottom part of the county is in the lowest drought condition, and this year there was none of the county. This time last year, none of the county was in a drought condition. And so we are looking at April through June favoring below average precipitation and water supply for the county. And the summer outlook is looking to be above average for temperature-wise and below average for precipitation. So unfortunately, we are looking at continuing trends to heading more into drought. Weather Service doesn't come up too much on temperature, where the temperatures are going to rise if they're going to get as high, but we do know that we're not going to be seeing a lot of precipitation to go there. And as we look even over the trends over the last couple of years, the state's not recovering through the fall and the winter time and the spring in terms of drought relief, continuous every year. It's just kind of continuing momentum built.
On this map, you say the southern part of the county is in low drought condition. And I can't tell from the map exactly, but isn't that where we had a lot of our forest acres burn, right on the border of us and Marion County? Commissioner Scholl and Commissioner Fisher, we went and we looked at that. I'm thinking that is where this is, that timber is still laying there, but it's also a drought condition, which is very high elevation. Does that mean there's not the snowpack?
The snowpack was less this year than it traditionally has been. It's also where we saw the Bull of the Woods fire last year.
What?
It's also where we saw the Bull of the Woods fire last year. Was down in the southern, was in Marion County, but it was.
Yeah, I see Marion County is almost totally
Yeah.
in that, and the rest of the state is, well, we're lucky compared to the rest right now. Yeah. Commissioners, I'd like your comments on this. On what we're considering today?
Yeah. Well, I just want to say that last year when we did the ban, I was impressed at the response of the people in Clackamas County. They really complied. And there's always those people that have the fireworks from Washington State or Idaho or wherever they get it that's illegal. Even last year during the ban, those people were reduced. I mean, there wasn't as much activity with that illegal fireworks either. So having a plan that people in the county know is coming when we hit this level of extreme heat, that here's the policy in the county, get that out now. We're almost sure that the compliance, when it happens, is going to be really good.
So Gary, going forward on this, what's your recommendation?
I would recommend that you direct staff to come forward back to you in the next few weeks on a metric system that you would follow, and that pick a date certain. I'm throwing it out like by June 15th, no later than June 15th, you would make the call based on these metrics, whether to ban fireworks or not. So that gives at least a little bit of leeway to the people who are selling it, that they're not shocked. So that'd be my suggestion. Let staff come back to you with proposals of what this metric system could look like and the date you'd make a decision in June.
Mr. Fisher?
Yeah, I'm just curious if that would give us enough time. We had a heat dome in mid-June, which we weren't expecting. So I would be concerned about putting a date certain. I don't know, I'd take advice from fire experts on that.
I would support what Gary's recommendation is at this point, that June 15th generally gives us some pretty good indicators.
Okay.
And then they can also look at, do we have any potentials for east wind events? East wind events are what can get Clackamas County in a lot of trouble real
That's
quick.
right.
And so with those forecasts, and we had pretty good indicators last year on predictions of the high temperatures and east wind events.
Just didn't realize how bad the
We just
temperatures
didn't
were going
know
to be.
how
We have a
bad.
couple commissioners in the queue, but Daniel, you had something you wanted to say?
I was going to say, we generally get about a 2-week that's forecast that's pretty decent. It's not going to be great. I will always qualify, reserve the right to come before the board with my fire colleagues to say, hey, it's gotten a lot worse than we thought. But
Okay, so are you saying that the east wind, which is a huge factor in the wildfires in September of 2020, that was what, are you saying that that is almost predictable, that we could have a wind event within 2 days or a week?
I would depend on my weather colleagues to tell me how predictable it is, but we did know it was coming. We just didn't know the speed and the duration was going to be as great as it was.
Yeah, we knew that we were having east events. We just didn't know
Right.
the level. And so in preparation, it was forecasted. We knew it was coming. We ramped up resources. We didn't know we were going to have the hurricane force that it
Yeah, no kidding. Commissioner Scholl, you're up.
Yes, one of the things you might want to consider is having a situation where you ban fireworks except for professional city fireworks displays.
Well, we don't do cities, we just do
Well,
unincorporated.
Okay, but if the people know that they can go a few miles into town to see fireworks, and they're told that all other fireworks is banned, you probably get a much higher rate of compliance.
Right.
Okay?
I would agree with that
Yeah.
statement. Yep.
Okay, Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, I'm going to go back. I think that waiting, I was just thinking maybe coming back in a few weeks with a plan where you guys are all on the same page. I really think it's incumbent upon the fire organizations or districts really to come up with a plan and say, here's what we want, here's what we're going to do. And it's be somewhat uniform as best as possible. But I think, and also the vendors need to know way before June 15th as far as whether or not they're going to have a fireworks stand. So you have these two different pieces, but getting back to the plan, if you think that we ought to be talking about a ban, I don't want to wait till June 15th, frankly. I think there needs to be some agreement of a plan to come forward in a much faster timeline as to how we're going to approach this.
Chief
Remind
Brown.
me, thank you so much, Chair Smith. And Commissioner Savas, I understand what you're saying. And that plan is for us as a fire district because we don't have the legal jurisdiction. This falls on the county for the unincorporated, and the cities, for the cities, all we can give is that advice. And so that plan from a fire defense board stance and from a local agency stance is if we tie it to those matrix, that's when the hair on the back of my neck starts to go up, is when I see high. And then when it's extreme, then that's when we're all ready for some fire behavior that could get out of extreme. So that's where we as an organization, if I'm going to give you the advice and that I give the cities, it's tying it to those predetermined matrix that look at the drought, They look at the fuel moisture. They look at the projected weather that we're going to have, and that's the most solid that I can give you as far as a plan that wouldn't be a best guess.
Okay. So I was just thinking that maybe in surveying or understanding what the horizon might look like,
Yes.
I was thinking that you might all come together and say, you know what, by X day, we will come back to you and say, should implement a fireworks ban. It's not looking
I see what
good.
you're saying.
But farther in advance than June 15th, or not. But
I see.
that's what I'm trying to get at.
I see what you're saying. I apologize.
Yep.
Gary, do we have a plan going forward? I'd like to, so what is the date today, April 5th? This needs to be at least within 2 weeks. We need to make a decision on something.
Yes, that's, based on the feedback I'm hearing, that's my recommendation, Commissioners, and with all respect to our fire chiefs, by May 1st, you make the call with the data you have at that time, and it's a risk. You hope you're making the right call. It may be, it may not be, but you need to probably make a decision by May 1st to give plenty of notice to the community.
Okay. Commissioner Fisher?
Are we going to be doing any regional coordination?
You mean with cities?
Well, there's cities, but there's also Washington County, Multnomah County.
We can reach out to them. That's a good idea.
I'm just curious with our current tables of regional input. I'm looking at Paul because I know he sits at a lot of them. We're looking at Commissioner Scholl. Is there an opportunity to bring that up there?
I would say that maybe Chair Smith, under the Tri-County chairs, could bring it up there.
Okay.
We could bring it up, like maybe District 8, for example. But I think that the nature of Multnomah County, most of Multnomah County is different in Washington County, but they still have areas where they're vulnerable. But it just seems that we got a coordinated recommendation that that we all jointly agree upon. But my question really is, if we say, and I think it's obvious, I think I know the answer, if we say we're going to ban fireworks in Clackamas County, that still gives the cities authority to do something different, right?
Correct.
We don't have the power to overrun or override the city's decisions.
You're the unincorporated.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
And I believe City of Portland, did they make a decision?
I don't know if there was an actual decision made. I
There was
believe
talk.
there's
There was
talk
something in
about
the
it.
news.
Talk
Yeah,
about it,
there was
yeah.
talk about it.
I don't know if that any jurisdiction has made a decision yet. Commissioner Schrader?
Yeah, I recall attending regional meetings for disaster management. Who's the liaison for that? Are you doing that, Commissioner?
am.
Okay, so that's where a lot of those discussions would happen
Oh, yeah.
right now, yeah. So you already have that coordination.
Daniel sits on the same
Yeah.
committee, the regional committee, as I do. Daniel, is there any talk within the regional committee?
There's been a little bit of talk. Next week, the 11th, all the emergency management directors of the 5 counties, the 5 urban counties will meet, and I just put it down to make sure that I bring it up as a discussion topic for
Okay,
them.
so we'll include your data in these metrics as well, if you would, please.
Certainly.
Okay. Any more comments from commissioners? I think we're moving on a path that we can gather some data, like you say, metrics going forward. We just don't know what's going to happen. It's really hard to predict
Super hard.
on this. Okay, Gary?
So we are going to come back to you with a policy session in the next 2 weeks with data that you can use to make a decision with a staff, well, I'm making the staff recommendation now that you make a decision by May 1st.
Thank
But that'll
you.
be a proposal. We'll come back to you in 2 weeks with the policy session.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate
Oh,
it.
yeah, and feel free to call, right?
Love it. Thank you so much.
You betcha. Bye-bye. Thank you, Daniel.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Next, back to the issues list. Let's do consent agenda request next. And staff, you can just come right up to the middle table here. We'll start with Health, Housing, and Human Services. Item 1, approval of a grant amendment to a federal sub-recipient grant agreement with Ant Farm for rent assistance services. Total amendment value is $547,000. Funding from the U.S. Department of Treasury through a CARES Act grant via Consolidated Appropriations Act, Federal Emergency Rental Assistance Funds. No county general funds are involved. Rod Cook is the Director of Health, Housing, Human Services. Go ahead, Rod.
Yes, under this grant, Ant Farm receives referrals from Clackamas County's Coordinated Housing Access Program to determine eligibility and provide rental assistance payments on behalf of eligible households impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. And Farm has already successfully delivered over $7.8 million in rental assistance funding to households in Clackamas County. This would be additional dollars.
So this includes retention and ability to get people to stay in their homes before something occurs as well?
I have coming up to the table.
I see both these both items 1 and 2 are similar,
Yes,
so.
yes, they are.
I'm sorry, I did not hear that question.
The question is, does this include prevention of people losing their place, and retention,
Yes,
basically?
it's a 100% prevention, so we're getting people their rent assistance before they lose their housing.
And again, the emergency piece is simply their emergency, not any other outside emergency.
It's the way the federal agency named the
Okay,
funding
thank you.
source, yeah.
Good. Any further comments or questions? Any objections to hearing this? Seeing none?
Item 2, approval of a grant amendment to a federal sub-recipient grant agreement with Northwest Family Services for rental assistance services. This amendment adjusts fund sources and extends the term of the agreement through June 30, 2022. The grant value remains at $325,297. Portions of the state and community development block grant funding are reduced and replaced with funding from federal emergency rental assistance funds. No county general funds are involved.
Yes, and this is pretty self-explanatory. It's basically a switching of the dollars that we're using for the purposes talked about earlier, this time through Northwest Family Services.
Any questions or comments from commissioners? Any objections? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, Transportation and Development. Item 1, approval to apply for a RAISE Discretionary Transportation Grant to replace the bridge across the Bull Run River. $11,509,700 in grant funds are requested. Matching funds in the amount of $2,877,425, which is 20%, will be provided by the County Road Fund. Warehouser will contribute $10,000 towards the project. No county general funds are involved. Dan Johnson is the Director of Transportation and Development. Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure what I'm going to add to that. We have been here a number of times trying to secure funding to replace this particular bridge that is 129 years old. Essentially, this is a section of the old Burnside Bridge, which they're trying to replace the new Burnside Bridge with a new bridge. So we have the hand-me-downs for this particular bridge. We're here to ask the board's approval to apply for this grant. I want to make sure that we're clear, though. There was a typo in the original submittal on the recommendation. It referenced the bridge funding program. It is not the bridge funding. It is the RAISE funding. With the change in the federal government, everybody's got to change the name on what the funding package is. So we've emailed this new corrected report over to county admin, and they have it, and it has been addressed.
On
So
our notes, it says raise discretionary.
Perfect.
But I'm not looking at that particular document.
this was the old version. My apologies. Yep.
Any questions or comments regarding this? You know, we've been trying to secure federal funding to do this, and you know, it's nice that it's nice it's coming through. Isn't this located in Multnomah County?
No, this is Clackamas County.
It's in Clackamas County.
Correct.
I stand corrected on that. Commissioner Scholl?
Yeah, that's just right on the edge of the eastern extreme part of the county.
It does, and it gives.
129 years, so we got our money's worth out of that one, Dan.
What's that one?
129 years, we got our money's worth out of that one.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Seeing no objections to this?
Chair, if I may.
Oh,
So I just want to, Dan, there's that discussion about the double IJA dollars that are going on at ODOT. There's discussion about the new infrastructure bill. Are like all 20% matches? Do you know? Or any matches, any opportunities that?
To leverage those funds against us as well. I'm not aware of any, but we can look at that. I mean, there's been a number of articles recently about how those dollars are being distributed by ODOT. I think there was one last week where I thought it was like $412 million alone just for their maintenance backlog. But I'll follow up with Mike Besner from our assistant director to confirm that, but I don't believe that to be the case.
Right. This is the main access road for the city of Portland's Water Bureau to get into their port and all the water that's being, you know, the
Bull Run, yep.
the Bull Run Reservoir. So it's heavily trafficked by, you know, on the edge of Multnomah County,
Yes.
and also heavily trafficked by the city of Portland. So.
Yep.
seeing any objections? No. Next.
Item 2, approval of a contract with Carter and Company for the Cambie Markham Highway Bear Creek Bridge Project. Total contract value is $1,711,843.60. State-funded local project program funds will contribute $1,536,037.26, and county road funds will contribute the remaining $175,806.34. No county general funds are involved.
The county obtained federal highway bridge program funds from the Oregon Department of Transportation local bridge program to replace the existing bridge over Bear Creek on the Markham Cambie Highway. The bridge is considered functionally obsolete. It's narrow and structurally deficient, with a sufficiency rating of 27.2 out of 100. The bridge is composed of undersized timber members that have shear and flexure damage, which have been temporarily repaired. They've been repaired at this point in time, but the bridge needs to be replaced. I can tell you that the construction costs for this particular project are anticipated to be $2,040,247, which includes construction, engineering, and inspection services. The remaining costs were related to design, $525,500, and right-of-way, $50,800. Construction is anticipated to begin in May of 2022, following contract signing and pre-construction conferences. The project is anticipated to take approximately 1 year to substantial completion. This project was advertised in accordance with ORS and LCRB rules on January 11, 2022. The bids were opened publicly on February 10, 2022. There were 4 bidders that proposed on it. After review of the bids, Carter and Company Incorporated was determined to be the lowest responsive bidder. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are you going to divert traffic or do a detour?
There will have to be some diversion and traffic management associated with that. The specifics of such I don't have available at me currently, but yes.
So the road will be closed. I mean, you can't replace half of it and then, so it has to be.
It depends on how the bridge replacement goes through. We have done half and half before. It is very complicated, and I'd be glad to share that information with you.
Whatever they want to do, I'm just asking. Commissioner Scholl.
Yes, Dan, will the new bridge design include increased capacity?
It does not. I do not believe the replacement isn't, when you say increased capacity, is it widening lanes, et cetera? I do not believe that to be the case. Mostly it's around the functional obsoleteness of the bridge itself and its safety rating as a whole, 27.2.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Any objections? Seeing none. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Next, County Council, review, consideration, and approval of the 2022 revised fare management agreement with the Clackamas County Fair Board. Stephen Madcore is County Council. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Gary. Morning, Commissioners. What we have before you for your consideration at Thursday's business meeting is an updated version of the Fair Board agreement. It is a 3-year agreement. It is a continuation of what's currently an expired agreement. This new agreement incorporates all of the old terms, except it includes new ones, and it allows for County Council to provide legal services to the Fair Board on a at-hour cost basis. It also allows for facilities management to aid the Fair Board on a time and materials cost recovery basis, and also provides for the Fair Board to contract with the county for specific services, finance, HR, tech services, things along those lines on a cost basis to the county. So the Fair Board would reimburse the county for any of those services provided. It has been signed by the Fair Board, so it's been signed and approved by the Fair Board already. Any questions?
Yeah, in that we have project management assistance for the construction of the livestock barn, correct?
That's not
separate?
specific in here, but it certainly could be covered by the terms of providing facilities management services.
I think they've already engaged in that, haven't they,
They
Stephen?
have, yep.
Okay. Any further questions? Any objections to seeing this go forward? Nope. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. So this will all be on this Thursday's business meeting consent agenda for your approval. Next, there is a request for a board liaison for the Clackamas Emergency Medical Services Council. There was a letter in your packet. This is a new position. You currently do not serve as a liaison to this council, but the council is requesting that you would appoint a commissioner to serve as the liaison on the Emergency Medical Services Council of Clackamas County. So seeking if you are interested, which one of you would like to do that?
Commissioners, what do you want to do with this?
I would be happy to serve.
Yeah, I would too, so.
So we have 2 commissioners willing to serve. We can appoint I suppose, one and then the other as a backup in case you can't attend the meetings? Or can they both attend if they want, if it's in their schedule?
They can both attend because it would not be a quorum, but the council is asking for one formal liaison.
Okay, well, I will move today that Commissioner Fisher be appointed as liaison to the EMS Council with Commissioner Scholl as the second in the event that she's unable to attend a meeting, which happens to all of us. So you have, that available to you, Commissioner Fisher, if you want to.
Okay, second.
Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Tony, would you please call the poll?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Chair Smith?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Tony. By the way, we have a new clerk to the board right here.
I was going to introduce him later. This is Tony Mayernick. He is our new clerk, your new clerk to the board. He started yesterday, and he's doing an excellent job so far. Well done. Welcome, Tony.
Go
Okay.
ahead, Gary.
Thank you. Next, the Planning Commission Board. Commissioners, you've already identified the Planning Commission as one of your advisory boards that you want to interview candidates. There are new candidates, so I just want to confirm which one of you, or all of you, if you wish, would like to interview the candidates for your Planning Commission.
And when do these interviews take place, Gary?
We will schedule them at your convenience within this month, the next few weeks.
This month?
This month, yeah.
Why is everything in April?
So how many,
My schedule is so packed for April, it isn't even funny. Paul, do you have a comment?
yeah, just, how many openings are there, Gary?
Two. Thank you, Dan. Two.
Yep, I'm happy as always to participate in that.
So we have Paul, who has volunteered. Anybody else?
I'd be happy to.
Okay, Commissioner Savas and Commissioner Scholl will participate in the Planning Commission interviews. Gary, do we need a motion, or is that?
No, a
good
motion is
enough?
not necessary. We will set that up with your staff. So,
Good enough.
excellent. Thank you very much. Next, Metro Solid Waste Fee Setting Update. There's a memo in your packet. This is part 2 from your discussion a few weeks ago, and there is a proposed comment letter for you to approve if you so desire, which is the last page in your packet. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development, Cheryl Bell, Assistant Director of Transportation and Development, are here. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Chair Smith and Board, Administrator Schmidt. We are here to follow up on our policy session we had on March 29th. And in short, do a couple things. One of which is we gave you some background in March 29th's packet. We want to share with you what's happened between March 29th and today. And priority number 1 is really to get your opinion on the letter that's in your materials now that we would like to have request the board submit should they feel warranted to do so, which needs to be submitted today. Okay? So with that, what has happened between the last time we talked and today? One of which was they had this particular topic scheduled to be discussed at MPAC. We had coordinated closely with Commissioner Scholl in regards to making sure that he was prepared to articulate the concerns the board had shared with us on March 29th. But I am here to tell you that another topic kind of inundated that meeting around a certain topic around tolling. And so they basically pulled the topic for discussion at that particular meeting. I'm not sure, I haven't heard if they're looking to reschedule that at a future one.
There's been no word.
Okay. Secondly, on March 31st, there was a Metro Council special work session. Basically, they were hearing a recommendation from their COO on how to move forward with this fee setting discussion. The COO made the recommendation, which was approved, to use the fee predictability model that included successive increases ranging from 7.1% to 7.9% through 2027. We have given you a pack of information. That information specifically is most clearly illustrated on page 17 of attachment A, which identifies that proposed fee increase. In addition, the chair had asked a very specific question, and that question was the impact to our particular individuals throughout Clackamas County, and you can see as a part of the memorandum, we have included those materials. This is on page 2 of the memorandum. At the top, there is a chart. That chart identifies the per ton Metro disposal fee, It illustrates the percentage increases at the top of that chart, the 7.1, 7.8, 7.9, et cetera. And then it translates that amount down into our most common service, which is our monthly 32-gallon residential service that's done. And basically, you'll see in that highlighted row, it talks about per month increase to collection fees from the disposal fee increase directly. And it gives you that amount, essentially going forward into future years. As we discussed, next engagement opportunities, April 5th, today at 10:30 is a public hearing by Metro Council on the proposed budget, which is a part of their rate setting process. There are additional public hearings on April 14th and May 3rd, with listening sessions on April 7th. There is an additional listening session which isn't identified in your packet. It's at 1:30, but these again are forums. They are not engagement opportunities. Basically, Metro allowing the opportunity to share with the public kind of their desires and or intentions with these rates they are proposing. You will see as a part of your packet, there is a letter. It is a little more concise than the conceptual letter we had developed previously, but it focuses on, well, a couple different things. It leads with the concern the board has about the rate increase. It then goes into some specificity around the basis for the fees, on why they're being increased. Second, a request for more enhanced engagement. And last but not least, a discussion around regional revenue sharing. We felt kind of those were the three. We had 4 topics before. One was about private hauler facilities. We felt these were kind of the 3 top. If the board was really looking to make a discussion and or have a discussion with Metro, these would be the primary topics that would be raised to concern. So with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions to the extent that we can, and look for your authorization and or any comments you might have on this letter we presented you today.
Commissioners, the letter's on page 35 of your packet. Just quickly scroll through. I have read it, and I think our point of decision today, Gary, is if we approve to send this letter to Metro or not, and how do we want to sign it? Commissioners, what do you think? Martha?
Well, I think we should send it.
Okay.
For sure. And I guess I would depend on recommendation from Gary and staff. Is it more powerful just to have the chair or all of us sign it? I can go, for me, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. I mean.
I think you should all sign this letter.
I do too. I think
Okay.
all of us
All right.
should sign it.
Then that's what I move we do.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Commissioner Schrader has made a motion that we approve the letter, all 5 commissioners sign. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Commissioner Scholl has seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Paul?
I'm inclined, I see we're approving it, that's fine. I just wanted to say I would almost be inclined to make it a stronger letter. I was woefully disappointed in the Metro meeting that they held on the rates. It was so non-tangible to anything, math, purpose, or anything. I appreciate the points spelled out in the letter. I just wish it was stronger, but, I'll just leave it there. We have a motion on the floor. I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, Commissioner Savage, you'd be happy to know that this letter has been redone. It's stronger from the original version, but I don't know, Dan, are we going to get a second shot at doing anything like this or not?
There are additional public hearing
Okay.
dates scheduled, which are April 14th and May 3rd.
Why don't we
I might-
reserve the right, if any new information comes out at those hearings, we can submit a second letter and talk about those points then.
It would be, by the blessing of the board, staff can track these meetings, the meetings that's going to happen on April 5th, and also the 14th. Maybe have an issue session before the one on the 3rd to update you on any new information. And the board
If
can
there's
determine.
anything new, contact Gary.
Yep.
Or one of my commissioners, that's fine, and continue to track it, please. Thank you very much. So, there is a motion on the table. Seeing no further discussion, Tony, would you take the poll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Yes, Dan?
My apologies. There is one small amendment we have to make to the letter. It's simple. It's basically in the 4th paragraph. Talks about before. I'll work with county admin on this to get this revised, but it's
What is it?
basically just some
Say it, please.
a grammatical error. Yep.
Say it, please.
Yep.
Should you
No,
put
tell us right now.
I'm going to read the sentence. So the first bolded topic, basis for projected disposal fee increases respond to the request from local governments before the January 22nd or January 2022 listening session. That should be revised to say, respond to the request from local governments as presented in the January 2022 listening session. It's a
You okay
simple.
with that, commissioners?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioners, are we okay with that slight addition, amendment? Changing of a couple words? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Next, Advisory Board and Commission appointments. Tony Mayernick, would you please present?
Mental Health and Addictions Council, staffed by the Behavioral Health Division, currently has 8 openings on their commission. Through a recruitment process, 2 applications were received and 2 were recommended to be appointed. The recommendations are Sonny Graham for a first term and Cecily Hitson for a first term.
Any discussion, Commissioners? Scholl? No.
Move to
I'll
approve.
entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Scholl has moved to approve the ABC for the Mental Health and Addictions Council, and Commissioner Schrader has seconded that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Tony, please take the poll.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Chair Smith?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, your business meeting review for the business meeting agenda review for this Thursday, April 7, 2022 at 10 a.m. You will have a presentation on proclaiming April 2022 as Grange Month in Clackamas County. You'll have 3 public hearings. 2 of them are boundary changes for the Tri-City or for Wes. And then third is approval of the Community Development Consolidated Plan for H3S, which you had a policy session about a week ago. And then all the consent agenda items from today that you approved. If you have any questions on these items, please let me or staff know. Prior to Thursday, we will answer them for you. Next, Clackamas County commitments to the Mount Hood Rest Area Relocation Project. Commissioner Savas will present, and there was a draft language in your packet.
Yep, and I'll just give you a hard copy. This is pretty straightforward. If we need to, Everett's available to speak to this if needed. As you know, the current rest area along Highway 26 at Government Camp is no longer sufficient. It's undersized for the number of daily visitors. It's aging. It needs substantial maintenance, and it's not easy for trucks and cars and so forth as far as maneuvering within the facility. Timberline recently announced plans for redevelopment of the Summit Ski Area, which the rest area abuts and shares parking capacity with, but it also will bring more traffic and more congestion in that parking lot area. With all those factors considering, relocating the rest area for the benefit of local residents and businesses and visitors and Highway 26 users is of great benefit. Oregon Solutions has been facilitating the dialogue and will continue to between the stakeholders, including the federal and state legislators, the Forest Service, ODOT, the local community, business organizations, and others. And I've had the pleasure of representing the county alongside staff from tourism, H3S, and Oregon Solutions at the table, where we recently have been discussing a declaration of cooperation that memorializes the participants, their roles, and helps inform the project in the future phases. Before you is a statement, and the statement basically reads our commitment that Clackamas County commits to continuing to participate in the stakeholder group, including having a commissioner serve as a liaison between the project and the Board of County Commissioners. The county will provide information and technical support for the project areas of our expertise, including planning and land use, tourism, transportation, and transit. Additionally, the county will continue to advocate for the rest area as a resource that benefits the Mount Hood community, local businesses, the traveling public, and those who depend on Highway 26. So just seeking your approval of the statement and our commitment, and continue on as liaison. And if there needs, does there need to be a motion, Chair? Or
I recommend a motion.
Question first.
Sure.
Who does this letter go to?
This goes to the group and the facility, the Oregon Solutions, as they're basically an agreement. We've done this like with Wes and others. Oregon Solutions does a great job of facilitating these conversations that are complex. So that helps.
No, I'm fine with the letter. I just have some questions if it's going to be met with, who's going to read it? Are they going to act? We had a meeting, Shoal, Savis, and I, on the Mount Hood multimodal project up at Government Camp, and ODOT is evidently doing some outreach. We had a meeting with Forest Service, us, ODOT. Is this about, I assumed it was for improvements in the area that you attended. Does this play into that as well?
Indirectly, this is really specifically about the restroom facility or new facilities and relocating. So, but it does tie in and can tie in to transportation issues as far as a transit center, and there are opportunities where there's, economy. I won't say economies of scale, but mutual benefit.
So, who would pay for this?
Well, clearly we're working. It's really ODOT's responsibility to quite a degree, but I think some of the private sector owners and operators there have volunteered to help with that in some way. I don't think it'd be Clackamas County. We offered staff support at this point in time. I want to just shout out to our staff, including DTD, in helping talking about some of the land use challenges there. We've got some clarity as to whose roles and responsibilities are. So if there's any obligation at all by the Board of County Commissioners, you'll hear from it first before we make that.
I see no problem with the statement. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve Commissioner Savis's prepared statement.
Okay, I'll second that.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Scholl to approve a statement on the Mount Hood Rest Area Relocation Project to the Oregon Solutions Group. Commissioner Schrader has seconded that motion. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, Tony, please take the poll.
Commissioner Savis?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
Chair Smith?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Gary, what's next?
Okay, thank you. Next, the Association of Oregon Counties Natural Resources Committee update. Chair Smith, you'd like to update your colleagues on what's going on there, and there was a memo in your packet, too.
Yeah, I met with them last week. They're, as you know, with the Association of Oregon Counties, they're doing their, what they call the Reimagine Project, and they're trying to restructure and I think become more lean in light of the fact, as you know, Martha, that budget deficits are coming. And so one of the, this particular subcommittee on federal lands entertained a motion to dissolve the committee and just not have it. We voted to dissolve the committee. It was a tied vote, 9-9. It failed. Another motion was made to dissolve the committee and move it to the Natural Resources Committee. That vote was 9-9. It also failed. This committee has not met in 2 years. There are 4 other committees on the federal lands issue and timber that operate and do this type of education, liaison work, whatever you want to call it. We have not met in 2 years, and they've been collecting a special assessment from all of the participating counties of and our share is $2,600 a year. And the intent of the fee was to hire a federal lobbyist. That never happened. So there was much discussion in this committee, and so we voted on not collecting any more fees and taking the balance of the account, which was $200,000, and refunding it to all the counties that had paid in for the federal lobbyists. That did not happen. So I just want to update you on that. Our amounts that we have paid will be prorated. I don't expect it to be a whole lot more than $2,600 because we paid the dues, I believe, in 21. I believe in 2020 the dues were not paid, and I don't think we've paid any dues for 2022. So we'll just see, but that's where that is. Just want to give you folks an update. And so the other committees are doing this work. So one of the questions I asked, well, what were the deliverables? What were the successes during this? And nobody could mention them because this committee has not met for 2 years. Just saying, well, that's just a house cleaning measure. That's all I have on that. Any questions?
Well, they're going to disband or not?
Well, you take away the money and there goes the committee.
There they go.
I don't know.
Who was chairing this committee?
Nick, I'll think of that.
Southern Oregon or no? Somebody from-
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah, he did a very good job. He was excellent.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Commissioner Fisher.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the last minutes that were in our packet, and I'm curious, how do we get a list of who was on that committee for that 9-9 vote? Where is that?
Okay, if you, there, it should be clearer at, oh, it's not on here. So the 9-9 vote is all the dues-paying members who were on that, and we can get that to you. I don't see it here, I'm sorry. That wasn't here, I thought it would be. We have bylaws. Okay, click on the meeting packet for March 31. Okay, I'm seeing a PDF, maybe it's the same thing. It's not shown there either.
We'll get that for you.
Yeah, Kimberly DeSantis said, so there were a lot of people in attendance, but only those who pay dues get a vote.
Okay, I'm just interested in knowing how the landscape is, just because four of us sit on the board of AOC, so we.
On the legislative board?
Yeah, so is it
what
just
happens-
Commissioner Schrader and I on the
I'm on ledge and the board.
I'm on the board too. Commissioners, no, wait. Okay, so we have three of us that are on.
So the process is this. It goes before the Natural Resources Committee, which we're meeting on Thursday. They will make, obviously, a recommendation. It will go on to the Legislative Committee, of which you will sit on as well. I can get you that information. I don't remember who voted who, but, so it goes to intent and purpose, and you understand that. The intent of the dues was to hire a federal lobbyist to work on federal timber. The federal timber. That never happened. We have divergent interests on there, as we do in the Association of Oregon Counties. We have people who represent counties that have grassland issues. In Southern Oregon, we have water issues. Yes, those issues are very relevant and they're very important, but the lobbyist was hired to work on federal timber. And I'm not sure if the people in those areas have paid dues or not. Maybe they have, but I think moving forward, you know, Tim Freeman made an excellent point. We have four committees already doing this work. And so you might want to, you know, ask those questions when it comes time for you to vote. I think it's very good. I voted in favor of disbanding. I voted in favor of disbanding and moving the committee up to Natural Resources, which I think is where it belongs. And I also voted in favor of refunding the dues. So, just wanted to give you guys an update.
Yep.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay, thank you. Next, Chair Smith wanted to discuss your board summer recess, and if you wish to do that again this year.
So I thought maybe, since if anybody wants to make vacation plans, you might want to have a reservation any place, just to plan with your family. A lot of times it takes an effort to do that. Last year, we decided to take our summer recess the last 2 weeks of August. Gary and I looked at the calendar. And Gary, what are those dates?
Yes, it would be this year, August 22nd through Labor Day, Monday, September 5th. So you return for business on Tuesday, September 6th.
Okay,
Sounds good.
So Commissioners, do you have any comments on that?
I think it's great.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Paul?
Fine, yeah.
Okay, so Commissioners, we can let county staff know that the Commissioners will be on a break during that time from August 27th to September 6th. Thank you very much.
Thank
Chair
you.
Mark?
Smith, are there any Hawaiian volcanoes going to be blowing up during that period of time?
Better not.
Okay.
Any hurricanes scheduled?
I'll be waving at you from across the pond.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, very good, very good.
The final item today, Chair, is Commissioner Communications.
Okay, Commissioner Communication. Who wants to go first today?
I'll go first.
Okay,
I want to say thank you to the Children's Center in Oregon City. They had the gathering on Friday afternoon to celebrate their 20th anniversary of the Child Abuse Prevention and Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Kickoff for this month. What a great facility we have there for the people of Clackamas County. They're doing great things to help end child abuse and neglect through assessment, treatment, and prevention. And people need to get online, check out their website, help them in any way you can. And thanks again for a very memorable afternoon. Thank you.
is that it? Commissioner Fisher?
Yeah, that was a great event. It was very inspiring, and I don't know about you, Commissioner Scholl, but I think my favorite part was the puppets that really brought some spice and some theatrics to the event in representing children and what they go through. I just want to give a quick update. I participated as a public member listening in with the Reimagine meeting that was on Friday. The different jurisdictions went through their progress on the commitments that they've made. In that sense, it was a very positive meeting. Most of the effort was going through state legislative updates on where different initiatives are being taken. One message was very loud and clear, that the ask of Reimagine was never to have people agree with everything, but that it was a forum for discussion of inviting jurisdictions to their table to discuss issues of disparities and how we move the dial forward. So I bring that update to you all. Anybody is welcome to participate and listen to those meetings. I did not participate in my official capacity.
Thank you. Commissioner Fisher. Or Paul, your light is on?
Just a question for Commissioner Fisher on this. Was there any request to maybe update the website as far as not only just the names and participants, but more along the lines of what the issues are and where they are today to bring it up to date? Because as you go through other pages of the website, other than the landing page, I'm just kind of wondering if that is all current.
At their meeting, it was very focused on commitments and progress. So no, there was not, but I did have a conversation with Justice Raji, and they are in the process of updating their website. There has been so much, there's such a new organization, so little staff, that they are wanting to do a correct and complete overhaul, which is in progress.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Paul. Commissioner Communications.
Yeah, coming on the heels of the MPAC meeting that Commissioner Scholl spoke to last Thursday with his update, there's been a lot of outreach as far as what are the next steps, and it is poised to go before currently, absent any changes or scheduling or whatnot, is poised to go before the Metro Council next Thursday, not this coming Thursday, but next Thursday. And I spoke to Chair Peterson and Councilor Lewis in the last few days about this. I'm inclined, and I might be absent, because they now have rescheduled their meeting time from 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 10 o'clock in the morning, the same time that we meet at Thursday. So next Thursday, I'm inclined to testify on my behalf, ideally the board's behalf, on our concerns. And I just don't know if there's an opportunity on Tuesday to maybe talk about what those talking points might be, and see if we can get alignment on that. I'm very concerned, frankly, and I kind of spoke to this a little bit last night about the Region 1 Act. I don't think there's a great understanding of that time commitment. We asked, just briefly, I won't go into any great detail, but the regional ask that we got a lot of agreement on was don't toll us before the rest of the region, and because it was poised to be a year delay. And the more I learn is that 1 year delay was never really a year delay. It's more than likely to be several years delay. So had that really been on the table and been clarified, I think that maybe it would have been poised to have maybe a different vote count. But again, I don't know what Metro Council is going to do with the no vote, really essentially at impact, and how they're going to reconcile that. But I'm afraid that they're going to move forward with it in some form or fashion.
So, Paul, you're requesting some time at issues next week to go over some talking points. Gary, can we make that happen?
Yes.
Because you're going to the meeting on Thursday at 10 a.m. and state what that meeting is again?
That is the Metro Council meeting, which they're going to have this topic. Now, I can monitor both meetings virtually, but I can't do it here. So I would potentially be absent from the dais.
I think it's okay to be absent. There's 4 other commissioners that can
Okay.
be here. So go ahead and do that. I think it's very important. And we'll get some talking points, and maybe staff can help you tee those up by the time we come in on Tuesday, Gary.
Yes.
Okay, anything else, Paul?
That's all for now.
Commissioner Schrader?
Yeah, I also attended the Children's Center 20-year anniversary, and it was 20 years ago when Rena and I and Scott Palmer got together at Providence Hospital and really worked to get this off the ground. And we did lots of fundraising. I remember multiple times. Really, and we knew it was going to be a tough thing to get started because child abuse and neglect was not something that a lot of people really wanted to talk about. It's a very, very uncomfortable topic for most people. But we prevailed, we continued fundraising, and today I am so glad to see that after all that work and over 20 years, they're one of our strongest nonprofits
Yay.
in the county. And both myself and as well as Congressman Schrader actually was on the board for that organization for quite a while when he was a senator. So we worked on that together. It was kind of so it's really good to see that. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I believe that the next phase of demolition is beginning at the former Blue Heron paper mill along the Willamette River. The Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde announced this on Monday. Yay! So they are moving ahead, and I guess the 4 structures targeted at this point are the water filtration plant, millwright shop, auto shop, and carpentry shop. So one of the things I did recently was I had an opportunity to talk to the Oregonian. And my sense of all of this, I know that there are intertribal issues that need to be worked out. But remember, tribal issues have been millennial in the making. Okay, so you have to look at it and not just an immediate, but you have to look at it in this long time of how everyone interacted together, the indigenous peoples, prior to us coming here. So I did assure the Oregonian and other folks out there that I believe this project will move forward. I believe that things will be worked out in the end. I've been doing this a while, and as I said in the article, a lot of times it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years before some projects come to full fruition. And I can attest to that because of Unlocking the Locks, which started back in 2003. If not before. So I'm happy to see this going forward. I'm sure all those conversations will work themselves out between our friends at Grand Ronde, as well as the other tribal entities that have a history of visiting the area. Okay, so we're going to move ahead with that, and I was glad that I had an opportunity to speak to that.
Great.
So, and if you have any questions, let me know.
That's good news.
Thank
Very
you.
good news. Last week, I attended, Martha, you'll like this, the very first meeting of the Willamette Falls Locks Authority, the statewide commission that is appointed by the governor based on legislation passed by the Oregon legislature. And this body the legal structure is that it's a public corporation. It's not a nonprofit. And a public corporation, thinking back, OHSU is such, SAFE is such. And so our charge is to make sure that the locks are repaired, open, and we create a business model to make it sustainable financially. That is a huge, huge lift. We had about a 4-hour meeting last week, and when I was previous commissioner, I spent 4 years on this, and so now it's where the rubber meets the road. And so we do need to manage this like a for-profit business, or it will fail. And so I've been talking to a lot of people and proceeding with this, and Clackamas County has made a previous commitment on our share for $40,000 for 2 years each, as Metro has, and other jurisdictions will be doing that. Because first off the bat, we need to file paperwork. We need to establish a bank account. So we are literally starting from scratch. We also need to hire an executive director, and we need to write a job description and what our expectation is and go out and raise money. And I read through the legislation, and Stephen, maybe you can help me on this, our council, in that we do have the ability to start up a 501c3 nonprofit organization and I will have to see how that can marry up with the public corporation entity that was passed by the legislature. I assumed, and maybe wrongfully, I don't know, that that can be used for fundraising purposes. We will also have to hire some people for the operations and maintenance of the locks once it's repaired, because people want to take their boats up. We will need to be able to collect passage fees going through, just not for recreational, but we need to establish a business model for commerce, because it needs to, like I say, be an economic driver in the area. And I look forward to that. There's a lot of work to be done. And thank you for recommending me for the appointment. Last evening, Wednesday, this board met as the Board of Directors for the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District. It was our first meeting in 2 years, and I have to say, I think people were very happy to have that. It went very, very well. We talked about parks needs. We had updates from our staff. And for me, as chair, it was just good to be able to get through the first meeting in 2 years. It was virtual. I have recommended that we go in person next time so we can see the people's faces, get together a nice conversation, and we will probably be meeting quarterly until at least the end of the year. Our next meeting will be scheduled to the end of June to continue to discuss park needs in Clackamas County under the umbrella of NCPRD, not county parks, and I think we all had a good time with that. Thank you, Commissioners. Gary, seeing no further business before this commission, we are adjourned.